The average consumer is so freaking confused.
Right.
Oh,
Like, I
yeah.
saw this on TV. I don't got to pay the buy side agent. I don't even know what that means, but I'm saving money somehow. Tell me again where I'm saving. And so if the real estate agent community is able to, as a community, educate people so that they understand, oh, I get it. So I can, and it's negotiable. I don't have to. But, you know,
That's
my
always
agent,
been the case.
Right. My agent like educated me and showed me the data that 95% of the time they do pay a buy side commission because there's something with, you know, incentivizing somebody to bring me the highest offer. And all
That's
net,
always
the
been
highest,
that's always been a part of the game, right? I mean, why does Nike have commercials? Right? Why do these companies offer coupons or discounts and things like that?
Yeah. You're going to get $4 less for your sneakers, but you'll never see a Nike.
I think one of the things that really made this new ruling and these new rules really hard was, one, how fast they came about.
Yeah.
And two, it was kind of like it was almost like infighting, like the Realtors versus their own association. It was like NAR was like making these decisions that so many of their members felt like they didn't have a voice in, and these decisions were just being made. And I guess that probably happens in unions and all kinds of different organizations. But at the same time, like, it felt like that divide was way bigger than a 50-50 split, where there was it seemed like a small portion of that membership was really making those decisions. And now we're kind of seeing the fallout from it. With all the questions and, you know, and additional forms and
Right. And realtors honestly were painted as villains. I mean, that's how they wrote it. It's like there's price fixing.
And that's really hard because NAR was the one leading the charge. And it was like, hold on a second.
And what the consumer is getting out of this, like, I received something in the mail that I felt to be really misleading. And it was basically one of those, you know, if you've ever been in a lawsuit, whatever, but it was, if you've ever sold a house, you might be entitled to compensation because of this lawsuit. It was so misleading. It didn't give any information as to why or how, but it kind of inferred that if you sold your house and paid your agent, you could make money. And I think that is, I mean, it's so misleading to me. And it is our responsibility to absolutely educate people that, you know, this is the way it's always been. You're not just paying me, you're paying. If you haven't been doing that as an agent, then yeah, you are definitely liable. But the other thing too is, I think as agents, we've always tried to make it look easy, make the transaction smooth as possible. So we don't share and aren't transparent about all the things we do, every aspect along the way that we're negotiating on their behalf, protecting them. I think now more than ever, we need to be very transparent and say, hey, these are all the things I'm going to be doing for you, not just before and during, but also after. Once the house is closed, you don't lose me as your realtor. Yeah. This is how hard I work for you, and this is why I deserve to be paid what you think I.
Well, it's like having processes and things that facilitate ease of operation, to one, that make you the professional that you are, two, lead to the experience, the buying or selling experience for the consumer, you know, and then you're being chastised for that, right? Like it's just crazy.
I
and
heard,
social media doesn't help either. I mean, our industry, we probably put too much of the happy hours and the networking and the mixers and the events out on blast, as opposed to going, oh, well, in my 2 years of chairing the Cantry Committee, we raised $160,000 for the Salvation Army of Sacramento. All anybody saw were the events and everybody smiling and have a good time. Where, I mean, $160,000 is pretty substantial.
Right.
The Salvation Army can.
Every meeting you had at SAR and every phone call you made, and that,
absolutely.
Like, you're like, to Kaylee's point, you're not showing that, which, you know, people need to see. And like, I'll probably butcher this story, but it was such a well told story where you work with a professional, whether it's a lawyer or anybody else. You're not paying for the 7 hours that you can track where you were shown houses and the offer was written. You're paying for the 20 years of experience or 10 years of experience. Like, for the 7 years that Kaylee, like, you did all this work behind the scenes to add value to a buyer, you know, at that time it was Real Estate Agent Partners. That's what the consumer is paying for.
All those potholes that you didn't hit because the driver subtly maneuvered around them and you never even knew they were there.
These are some Danisms. Like, he is just full of.
You got to look up this story that I can't remember. It's basically like a guy who came with a hammer and he tapped on something and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to charge me $12,000." And he's like, "You're paying me because I knew where to tap and how hard to tap."